been a long time since I've done a YouTube video, but I'm back and I'm going to do a series of very basic starters, beginners videos on gold panning and prospecting, because I have a lot of questions coming in from the Gold Rush Ireland Facebook page and from our YouTube channel asking me to meet up with people or to show them what to do or to get them started, and I just haven't got the time to meet people really. So I thought if I did a little series of YouTube videos from start right through to maybe some more advanced sluicing and stuff later on, then people can just watch the videos and see what to do and go out and give it a try themselves. Today we're going to do a little video on basic panning, how to pan dirt, how to take a full pan and classifier of material and get it from that full pan of material down to whatever's in the very bottom, hopefully including a little bit of gold. And I've got a few sample jars of different things that you might find in the river, and we're going to do a thing called a sediment jar, which some of you may or may not remember from school. We used to do these in school just to level out and see what the soil composition was and clays and things, and really it's to show what the material does when it's been agitated by a river, what materials go to the top and what materials go to the bottom, and it's quite clearly the heavy materials go to the bottom. But we're going to mix up 4 things today and in a jar and then leave it for a while to settle and see what happens. So I'm just going to mix up some of the things you would find in an ordinary river, give them a good shake and agitate them, and then just leave it to settle to show you what the river does. This is what we do in our pan as well, so I suppose I'm doing this to just explain to you basically what we're doing with the pan whenever we're agitating it and whenever we're panning dirt, to try to find the gold in the bottom. And because the gold is the heaviest element, it'll settle to the bottom of the pan or the river, or in this case this jar, although I'm not putting any gold into it, but I am putting in some black sands. And I'm going to put these in a last because these are the heaviest, just to show you when you shake it up the way these work their way to the bottom. So we'll start off and we'll put in a little bit of soil into the jar. There's some organic material in there as well, some twigs and sticks. So we put that in first. That's just some soil. And then we'll put in some grit. That's just some grit from the side of the road, just some ordinary stones and gravel. Put that in. And then we'll put in some ordinary builder sand. And finally we'll put in some black sands and just a bit of hematite and stuff in that as well. There might even be some flour gold in this because it's from a gold bearing river. So well, that's enough in to demonstrate this, I hope. And then what we do is we put this lid on like that and we'll give it a good shake. And then we leave the whole thing to settle for maybe an hour, and we come back in an hour and see what's happened to all levels of sediment. Okay, about an hour has passed and the samples from earlier on in the sediment jar are starting to settle out. And if you can see, if you look carefully, you can see the soil here that has come to the top that we put in. There's a sand layer here, which was all the sand we put in. Then you can see the grit down here. And at the very bottom, you can see the very dark blacker sands and the bits of hematite and some of the maybe heavier stones. So the idea will be that we will transfer this, we'll take this to the river with us, and we'll transfer this jar into the pan. We'll pour it in. We will shake it up in the pan, and as we shake it, it'll stratify to that inside the pan. And as we pan, we'll wash off first the soil, then the sand, then the grit, and then we'll be left with the black sands at the very bottom of the pan. We're down at the river and we are going to replicate what we did in the jar, but this time we're going to do it in a pan. I'll talk to you more about pans at the end of this video, different pans, but that's the pan I use, and you can get them all sorts of colours and sizes. There's green. So this is our little sample jar from yesterday with our soil, stones, sand and black sands, and I'm going to transfer that into the pan just the way it is. Now, by agitating the pan like that, you always want to keep plenty of water in it. Give it a good shake. It's just what you're doing in the jar. And by shaking the pan, the heavy stuff's working its way through the light stuff and getting to the very bottom. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start washing off the different layers. Now the first layer will be the soil and organic material that we do. Now if you wash up into the stream like that, the water will catch, so really you want to protect the pan from the flow of the river, unless you can find a big slow spot, which I can't really in this stream. You're looking to keep agitating the material, and when you put it in, you just do a backwash. You let the water run in. You don't throw the pan back and forward. You don't do it too violently, just nice and slow. And the movement of the water washing in and back out will carry the lighter material away first. If you watch, you can see the soil and the sand coming off already. And you keep agitating. You do a couple of washes. When you shake it, you see the light stuff coming up. Eventually, you'll have that. That comes out very easily. And go side to side like that as well. And at that stage, when you've done that, you can see all the gravels appearing. The soil and the organic material's gone, and you're down to the heaviers, the gravels and the black sands. So we're going to keep going, and we're going to wash another little bit away. And we're just going to keep reducing the volume in the pan all the time. Just that gentle motion, rocking back and forward. Let the water just pull the light material back down, and keep agitating it as you go. The lighter gravels are coming out now with the water peeled off the top. And we're starting to see the heavier sands appear. So at this stage, we're down to that much material. So from our soil sample that we put into the jar is now gone, and the sand that we put into the jar is now gone, and most of the grit that we put into the jar is now gone, and that leaves us with these heavier stones, these little pieces of hematite and the black sands. So we'll bring it down a little bit more, and then we'll take it home and I'll show you how you do the very final bit. Now I've got it down to just a very small amount of concentrate. I'll put that back into the jar, and then we'll bring that home and I'll show you how to process it down. It's full of gold as well, actually. Full of fine gold. We'll process that when we go back to the house, and I'll show you how to tap that out, and I'll show you the gold that's in it. I didn't think there'd be anywhere near that amount of gold in it, but there's a lot. So that's us for now. I'm going to do one more pan to show you using the classifier. When you're at the river, another very useful tool to bring with you is an ordinary garden classifier. That helps you get the bigger stones out of your sample whenever you're doing panning, and you can throw those away straight away. So I'm going to do a little sample on this gravel bar here. Let's see if there's anything in it. What we were chatting about earlier on, whenever all the material settles out, on the very top of the gravel bar is going to be your lighter materials. The heavy stuff's going to be worked down the floods. When this river's in flood, it's up about this level, and it's hammering through, and it's working the gravels in the bottom the whole time. And as it works, the heavier material sink down to the bottom. So there's not much point in taking a sample off the very top. So what we do is we scrape some out of that. And then we take a little sample from a bit deeper down. I've dug out some gravel here from this gravel bar. Fill in the hole after you, when you're finished obviously. I'm only doing one sample, so. And then you look for a deeper part of the river, and you bring the whole thing, you keep the classifier on top of the pan, and then you do what the river does, you just agitate it. And when you've done that for a minute or two, you have a pan of smaller material. and your classifiers cut all your bigger rocks and nuts and stones and stuff off the top. You can have a quick look around it just in case there's any massive nuggets. And occasionally there are interesting things, like bits of metal or coins, or very rarely. And then you can just throw that away. And then we're on the same process as we were on before. Take a pan full of gravel and material, and you keep agitating it. Just keep it in the water, and providing you keep the bottom lower than the rim at all times, you won't lose any gold. Don't think you're being too rough with it, because the more shaking you do, the better. And you want to go back and forward, side to side, round and round. Here's our black sands. There's a little bit of lead in there, some very fine gold. You want to shake it down to one corner and do what's called a backwash. Tapping the far side of the pan brings the heavy materials forward and the light materials back. And you'll get these bigger stones in the corner. You can just pull those back with your fingers out of the way, because those are going to interfere. You can classify your material down, stratify it into different sizes, and that makes panning even easier if you're starting off. And you can get little classifiers to set off them, which I'll show you in the equipment video that I'll be doing shortly. This is called a backwash, and it's quite simply that. There's a wee piece of gold there. You're just backwashing very gently, back and forward, and you can see the way that's drawn. There's that wee piece of gold there, so push that back up into the front, get a wee tap, and just so you can do that and shake it back down again, so you know there's no gold in here. Wash back a little bit more, and if you see a little piece, there's a little speck of gold there. Once you get to that, you shake it back that way, and then you can level out your material again on that side. And away you go again. There's a little shake just to spread it out, and the process is just to keep drawing that back the whole time. Maybe one piece. You sometimes need to do it 2 or 3 times to make sure you get all the fines out of it, because little pieces can slip through and you miss them. So there's a wee piece there you could very easily miss. That's a very fine piece of gold. Keep pushing those up. You can do this 3 or 4 times. At this stage you're not throwing anything away. There's the gold cleared up. There's the black sands and heavies. There's still the odd little dot of gold through that, so I'll have to backwash that again. Do it 2 or 3 times to make sure I get it all. But there's the gold. So there was a lot more in that than I thought, and that's basically gone from a full pan to that little piece in the corner. Okay, we have our black sands on one side, we have our gold on the other, and this is called a snuffer bottle, and it's just for sucking up all the gold. So into it, you squeeze it out. These are very, very useful. You really need one of these if you're going to be finding any gold to gather it up. So you squeeze it out, and then you put it on the gold. When it's squeezed out, it creates a vacuum, and it just sucks it all up into the sucker bottle, like so, and it vanishes away. So it's all in here now, all the gold. I'll pan this out twice more to see if there's any wee specks, like there's one there that I've missed. It's always worth just checking, because you've gone to all the effort to get it out of the ground. You don't want to be throwing it away in your sands. And then just dry that off, and that's your gold take for the day. So I hope that's given you some idea of how to pan. That's basic pan. I'll go do the next video on where to pan, which is 10 times more important than how to pan. But you do need to know both. So it'll be a bit more exciting, and I'll maybe be a wee bit more animated for it. I know this is quite dull, but I've just been concentrating. So remember, the important thing is to always keep this part of the pan below this part of the pan, and you won't go far wrong. And you can't shake it too much. You keep shaking it, keep working it, keep all your materials going to the bottom all the time, and try it with some split shot or some dust shot or some little ball bearings or something steel, something metal that will represent gold. And when you can pan out a pan of dirt and find your bits of shot in the corner, then you'll know you're doing it right. But practice, practice, practice. And if you find anything white like that, that's lead. And if you do find lead, please bring it home from the river, because it just helps clean the place up. There's lots of lead shot around the country and split shot from fishing and things, polluting the waterways. So all the gold panners that I know, when they find lead, they bring it home and keep it separate. Okay everyone, that's a quick basic video on how to gold pan, how to find a little bit of gold, test the ground. I'm going to do a series of kind of beginners guides of how to get started, because that's what a lot of people are asking me to do. and put them up on my YouTube channel on Dirt Locker Mining. And the links to that will be on Gold Rush Ireland Facebook page and some of the other Facebook pages. I hope you enjoyed it. It's probably a bit dull. It's not very exciting, but it's kind of a basic skill that you have to learn if you're going to go gold panning. And I would suggest you buy a larger pan. You can get small pans and big pans, and either green or black I find to be the best to show up the different gold. The Chinese riffles, but again, I'm not going to bore you with the details of it. It's basically just a little safeguard to catch gold whenever you're panning out at the start. If you use the Chinese riffle side, as you get more experience, you can just use the smooth side. But it's always worth doing. You can look it up on the internet to give plenty of information on there about it. Remember, keep this below this and you won't go far wrong. This has to be below this. So that's all there is to gold panning. I'm going to do, next one will be where to pan. And then I'm going to do one on reading a river and gravels and materials and things like that. So stay tuned and please like and subscribe to the video, and I'll be back to you soon with hopefully more. Sorry it's been so long. Bye bye.